Hey, Biff, what's the best way to contact an amoeba?
It's going to be another like 9-year-old joke, isn't it? What's the best way to contact an amoeba?
By cellular phone? I don't know many 9-year-olds busting that one out. Or all right. Here's one, a more current one, or one that applies, in my world.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Hey, Biff,
Yeah.
why did Spider-Man pick his nose?
Why did Spider-Man pick his nose?
He was trying to get the Green Gobbler.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is
if
Jacques.
I call Joe, he's not going to come, is he?
He is not.
No,
not today.
Joe.
Damn it. Anyways, welcome to Carnival Personnel. Again, I'm Jacques.
This is not Joe.
It is not.
This is Biff.
And I bust out the Spider-Man joke because I was just talking to Biff. Per request, an actual request, our friend All-Star Tommy is looking for a Spider-Man No Way Home sideshow, and I might actually pull in a little help from my, as of yesterday, 12-year-old who, it's funny because, the last couple of years, he used to love the Andrew Garfield ones when he was like 6 or 7. We used to have to keep going to the library and renting them all the time, or not renting them, but getting them. And he watched them relentlessly. And then one day he listened to some YouTuber who said they were hot trash and the worst movies ever and all this stuff.
Man, really?
Right. And then, and how Tobey Maguire was great. And then he loved Tom Holland. He absolutely, Tom Holland was his favorite actor in the whole world. Loved him in the Civil War, the Avengers movie. Loved him in his first 2 movies. And then to get ready to go see, No Way Home, he ended up going back and watching the Andrew Garfield ones. Spoiler alert, guess who's his favorite Spider-Man?
You know what? That is one of the ones where like all 3 of those generations I thought were fantastic. I mean,
I no argument. Just absolutely, great. And so he's fallen down this Spider-Man rabbit hole. His big gift, and the family chipped in on it. My mom and my sister and stuff, but he got a 3,800 piece, $300 Daily Bugle Spider-Man set. It's like 4 stories high. It came with like 25 different characters, including ones like Daredevil, came with Carnage. Yeah. No, he's been dying to get that. I'll post some pictures. Him walking to the car holding the Lego back from the store was almost as big as him. Almost as big as him. But late happy birthday shout out to Squish. But yeah, so might try to squeeze one in. We might not even have a sideshow next week. Life's been going and crazy. But before we dive into everything else, Biff knows this, as just Joe and everybody else in my orbit. Last week, I lost a close friend named Dave Mirabella. Biff never crossed paths with Dave. Joe has been to some Rationale shows. He's been to a bunch of Beyond His shows where the Rationales, which was Dave's band, played with us. He's been to Beyond It shows where Dave has played literally with us. I've known Dave since college, and through the pandemic, he was at one point posting a song of the day, on his Facebook page. I don't know how long he was sick, but I got the call from Dan last week, just breaking, just the heartbreaking news that we lost Dave. And a little history with Dave. Again, knew him since college. Probably one of the more prolific, he's in the Dan camp of like, oh, I don't see or hear from him for a few months. And then he's like, oh, hey, I'm going to send you my 20 new songs, that he's done. I mean, just an amazing musician, very, very well known in the Boston music scene. Actually, he was friends with Gene Dante, who was a recent guest on the show. I mean, they've played together a lot. Dave really, really liked Dan's music and would very often sit in with us. Sometimes when we weren't doing a build together, he would just come and play. And the embarrassing thing about Dave playing with us, and I mean this in all sincerity, he was such a better musician. Like he is. And Dan would say, it's like he hates that, Dave would sometimes say, hey, can we play this song? And it's a song from like 20 years ago, back from Fitchburg in like the early 90s. And Dan's like, dude, I don't remember it. It's like, well, if I start playing it, maybe you'll remember it. And then would play it absolutely flawless. Or there'd be times when Dan would look to him and like, here's Dave cueing him on the lyrics and stuff like that. Or so honestly, he could solo really, really well. And Dan and I are fine musicians. Our strength is Dan's songwriting ability. Like lyrically, he is. I don't remember if it was a Billboard article, but one article, on us said he was Kurt Cobain meets Tom Waits minus the drugs, double the booze. I think was the quote. And Dan is lyrically gifted. He's a good singer. He's a good guitarist. I'm an okay drummer. Dave Mirabella was, he could tell you what key he was singing in. He could tell you the chords he was playing. He was a musician's musician. I would love to go to his shows when we weren't playing together, but it was always the best playing, together, just having the time to hang out. It's really sad to lose a friend like that. It's also, we're friends with his brother, Mike, who was, his drummer as well. And it's just gut wrenching to think that, Mike lost his bandmate, his brother, his best friend. And it's just soul crushing. That you're going through this. And a couple weeks ago, Dan just got all this new software. He set up a recording studio at his house, and it was just the most amazing thing. It was like 2 Sundays ago I was over there, and we were both talking. It's like, okay, let's figure out these 4 new songs and then bring in Dave to kind of, to play the solos on them and to sing with Dave, Dan and stuff. And it's one of those things. It's like, it's not like we lost touch or anything. He was still actively, with us. And I was going to use Dave to help me manipulate Dan. Look, I respect the fact that Dan doesn't want to play out anymore, but I think if Mirabella was to say, hey, we're going to do a couple of shows together, which is nice. Not only are they a great band to play with, they have much better equipment, especially with the drums. And so I would just use his brother's set.
Yeah, why don't we avoid the extra setup and we'll just use your set? Yeah.
Well, truly, I mean, it was that way and it's funny because, there was a time when, we would draw really, really well, and they would, quote unquote, open for us. But Dan and I never really liked to go on last because, we wanted to go to the bar and keep drinking.
Well, that and the Jimi Hendrix thing, right? You don't want to have Jimi Hendrix opening for you either.
Right. Well, and that became part of it. And it's like, we start playing shows. It's like, hey, we got this gig. You want to play with us? Oh, great. Love to. Here's the deal. You guys go on after us. Okay. So it is. It's,
So when was the last, I know with the, pandemic being what it is, and were you able to see him at any time in the recent couple of years or?
No, he had some medical issues and I think he was in a really tight COVID bubble, but I'm not a Facebook guy, but management would be like almost nightly, like, hey, who is this band? Who is this band? And I'd be like, why are you asking who Guided by Voices is? She's like, oh, because Dave Mirabella just played one of their songs, or he just played another Dan song, or he's just playing, one of John Hunt's songs and stuff. Plus his own song, and so the song we came in on today was a Rationale song. The song we're going out on is one of my favorite songs. But anyways, I don't want to be a complete bummer, but I miss Dave. He was just, I said it on Twitter, and a couple of our fellow friends, like, amen, the comment. I have not got to call a nicer person my friend. Like, of all the things I could say about Mr. Dave Mirabella, is I didn't get to call a nicer person my friend. So,
well, like I said, I'm really sorry. I mean, it's obviously horrible that, someone that talented dies so young. So yeah, As
Now,
they say, life's not fair. Dave is dead, but Ricky Rocket and Poison is still alive.
it's
So
still well. See,
stuff like that.
it makes me want to reach out to my friends now, and maybe help them like live a healthy lifestyle. I know you, Biff, started a running program this morning.
Running program, absolutely. This, I mean, so I largely live on East Coast time while living in the West Coast, and so I'm up at 4 a.m. and I figured, why not start the day by running? After a couple of dudes who were sawing the catalytic converter out of my neighbor's car. So, yeah, so I was in that kind of hazy state where the alarm had gone off. I kind of hit the snooze button, but I was half awake. And then I hear the zzz, from outside my window. I'm thinking, what the hell? And then I realized, oh my God, it must be the freaking catalytic converter theft. So I look out my window and there's nobody by my car, but I figured, well, it's close enough so I can hear it. So I walk out, and sure enough, right in front of my neighbor's driveway is this white Camry parked out. And as soon as I get out, these two guys go running into that car and they take off. And so, I ran to try to get their plate numbers, but you know what? My running is like not running. And so I didn't get there, get close enough to actually be able to read their plate. So I was that useless witness that is it's a white car. My fuzzy security camera video is more help than me actually doing anything. So yeah, but but thankfully they didn't take it off of my neighbor's commuter car. So it might be their camper, but whatever. And maybe it's possible that they didn't quite finish the job. So
what because you text my phone.
Yeah, I waited. Well, I know you would have been up, but
yeah,
I'm not texting my West Coast friends at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Is that what time it happened?
Yeah, the security camera literally said 4:01 a.m. So wow. Yeah,
because you texted a little after 6 a.m. your time.
I figured that time is reasonable. I also texted at that time because it was before when my meeting was going to start. So yeah.
And so how did you you just hear the sound and you decide to investigate, or has this been going on in the neighborhood?
It's a known. So I think it's going on, all over the country, really, but definitely in Los Angeles, it's a common occurrence. I'm on one of those Facebook pages for our kind of neighborhood area, and we have a lot of these reports of our mailbox was broken into. We have porch pirates. Somebody broke into our car, and of course the catalytic converter. And in many ways, the catalytic converter is one of the worst ones where you get up in the short of having your car outright stolen, right? You get up in the morning, you start your car, and I guess sometimes you hear these explosions and stuff like that or whatever. It's like your car is basically ruined, and already it was probably not a great thing to, oh yeah, I'm heading to work, and then you get that. It must be the worst.
I know. I'd rather my car be stolen. Just flat out, just take the goddamn thing. Oh, so yeah. It is awful. So my management in my world, I will be picking her up at the Worcester airport. I don't know if that's an airport that you've ever flown into.
I actually avoided it like a plague, even though I had a project there. Yes, because small airports are a nightmare for people trying to go back home on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, well, she's had a nightmarish travel thing, and I won't go into all the details, but for the last 3 years, she's been planning this trip to Ibiza. Yeah. It was Duran Duran's 40th anniversary, and it was this big thing, and she saved for a long time. There were so many times this other family she used to work for would call and say, hey, can you work this weekend? And she'd be like, I'm so tired, I don't want to, but I really want to go to that concert, so I'm going to go. So she had it all booked, like 4 months ago. She got her ticket. She had a nice 23-hour layover in Barcelona, which she was so excited about, like a free trip to Barcelona on the way, she had a hotel, all that stuff. Yeah. The flight got canceled a week before her trip. And Biff, when I say 0 flights, absolutely 0 flights, 0 routing. This is what she did to get to Ibiza to see the concert. She rented a one-way car to drive to JFK. Then had like 2, like Madrid to somewhere else, and each one had a white knuckle hour and a half only layover. So
Right.
if
Oh,
things run
God.
late, you know what I mean?
Ah,
And then
ah,
and then the airport, I think it was Madrid. Like her flight came in at the international, and then she
okay.
was taking a domestic thing. And it's I guess it's a pretty big airport, and had to take a train from part A to
Oh, right.
B.
One. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
I get
truly,
it.
a planes, trains, and
Well,
automobiles.
so she had to clear customs, right?
She had
And
to
then,
clear customs,
right?
right?
Oh my God.
And then
Yeah.
and then take the thing. She makes it there, and while she went with her best friend,
Uh-huh.
they both loved it, and they splurged. They splurged and they got the
Yeah.
nicer hotel. It was a package deal. They get to the hotel and see the sign. Basically, everything that makes the hotel they're checking into, not a Motel 6,
Uh-huh.
is closed because of COVID reasons. But they didn't say that.
Right. Right. Right.
No 24-hour room service, no
Yeah.
this, no that. Like, so she's like, we literally could have slept like in a day's
Brought a
end.
tent.
So she did splurge for the the VIP passes, so you get all these things. She gets there and she says, she goes to the concierge, like, oh, we're here for this. They're like, oh, the VIP table's over there. She and her friend walk over. The very nice girl behind the table can't find their name on the list. And Ellen is showing, Ellen calls up the email, and they're like, well, don't worry about it here. Just take these passes. It dawns on them about an hour later, their name was not on the list because they were sent to the VVIP table, not the VIP table.
Okay.
They got the $600, passes, and which came with a, I think it was like she said a room of around 100 people with a hour and a half chit chat, question and answer with the band. And she was literally 10 feet away from the true love of her life. Her John Taylor, not our beloved, JT. And so it really wound up. So yeah, she didn't get the perks from this, but it kind of made it. She did send me the second night. Andy Taylor, the drummer, was spinning at some world famous nightclub, and she sent me the picture. She got all
Isn't the drummer Roger Taylor?
I'm sorry, Roger. Right. Which is
why
the
am
same...
I correcting Duran names, by the way?
Because you know why you know this. You know why you know this. A, because you're a wonderful band, you love them. Two, it's the same name as the drummer of Queen.
Queen.
Right?
That's true too.
So she said,
well, it's just confusing that there are 3 Taylors who are not brothers in that band.
How funny is that?
Yeah.
So or cousins, So she sends me this. She calls me. She FaceTimes me. She said because she wanted to share. She wanted me to see my nightmare. It's like a 3-level, strobing light, like smoke filled, like absolutely. And I text her. It's like, the only time I could ever envision myself in a club like that is if I'm wearing a Batman suit, punching out any movie where Batman is in one of those clubs fighting a sea of henchmen on the way to see the Penguin or Falcone or something. But so she's coming back now. She had a great time. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't be happier that it worked out for her. But
it looked like she had great vantage point. I saw like the some concert photos also. Looks like she had a great vantage point for the show also. So like, all in all, I mean, in the end, listen, after these 2 years, freaking live it up, man. If you can live it up, I mean, good for her.
Right. And it's like, so she saved for a long time to go to this in 2020. This is supposed to happen in February 2020.
No, I do remember. Yeah.
And so now she's, so she is going to go see him in London. I might go with her to see, I'll go to the concert, of course. And then she just got tickets to see him 3 nights in a row at the Hollywood Bowl in September. So, we got tickets. We're going to bring the boys to one of those, shows. But speaking of shows, I did go see friend of the podcast, Gene Dante, and the Future Stars play on Friday. And I went with, another friend of the podcast who's been on, our friend Sully. Dude, Gene was great. Gene, it was absolutely great. The show was great. He kept saying, he's so psyched he's opening for Tragedy. I say Tragedy closed for them. And I actually put that on Twitter, and Tragedy liked it. Like they actually liked it.
There you go.
But I don't know what I first of all, it was great to see Gene in person. Gene had a merch table. Give me 1 second. This is great podcasting, I know, but Look, I wanted to support our friend Gene by not just showing up at the show, not just going with 5 friends. Well, my niece, my sister, and 2 friends. I actually bought this. Can you see it? It's not coming out on the screen.
There we go. What is that?
That's a cassette tape, Biff.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Gene-
that's nice.
Gene really, like, I bought the album digitally,
Yeah.
when Gene was on the show, but they were selling the cassette tape, and I'm like, I gotta get it. I'm gonna go and
Wow.
buy it. So
Isn't it hard to get cassette tape production going right now? Like I know that vinyl is like impossible, but I thought all those old technologies are now kind of back in, and like so artists are having a hard time getting them reproduced or something.
well, Gene's a singer, an actor, and maybe a magician because he made it happen. He pulled this rabbit out of the hat.
Or he has his own cassette, recorder.
Hey, you know what?
just
Shrink
did it.
wrap machine.
Yeah, we just tape
Biff,
it, yeah.
they
CD to
play-
tape here, yeah.
They play at this club called Sona, which is next to the Middle East Cafe. It used to be TT the Bears. One of probably my 3 favorite places to play was TT's, and it was
Been to none of
nice.
them.
They redid it. Here's
I
what
went to Ralph's.
Okay, it's the Cambridge version of Ralph's is what it is, minus the diner. Tragedy. It's a tragedy. The tragedy isn't Steel Panther. They are just as good, just as funny, less vulgar, but still, they're on the blue side of things. Dude, their shows are so good. I don't understand. I don't know if it's a management thing. I don't know if it's a marketing thing. They are so goddamn good. It's like, and
But
you haven't lived.
I think we've both lived long enough to realize that, and we've seen plenty of super talented bands that, for whatever reasons, it's like they, it just doesn't happen for them, right? I mean, we've seen it, and so that's but hopefully, it happens for them, right? But
I mean, they're doing well. I mean, they just like this past,
yeah.
Just recently did their first European tour, and but dude, until you've heard the metal version of It's Raining Men, I mean, it is, and just their stage outfits and their banter, dude. I got to get, like, I don't know anybody who would love them more than you. Like, honestly, I would love to get you to one of those shows.
Hopefully, I get work travel going again, and if I head to the East Coast, because I do want to, I have several reasons to visit your area, so definitely.
So Joe is not on this podcast, but so we've talked about this, and Joe and I a few months ago started this, just not like, oh, let's make a note to do this, but we started getting together more and watching either movies we love that we've not been in the same room for, or movies that we can't believe the other one hasn't seen yet. And it's been a lot of fun. A couple weeks ago, like a month ago, we did Tommy Boy, because management does a lot of weekend work, so she works overnight. So
right.
I got a Saturday night to myself. I can party it up, and me partying is literally splitting a 6-pack of Coke Zero with Joe and watching Young Frankenstein.
Whoa. I gotta say, you live harder than I do, because no caffeine for me after 4 p.m.
And not only just a little more of a deep dive. So then Joe and I will watch. So we'll watch. This past week, we ended up. He was going to come over to watch Animal House. And we were going to watch it with my 14-year-old, because he's taken my one Christmas gift, my John Belushi college sweatshirt from Animal House. And my sister, who I don't get to see that much, but I saw the night before at Gene's show with Tragedy. I called her because I was telling my friend Sully, yeah, Joe and I are doing this. He's a really good friend of Joe's too. And he's like, you got to call me next time. I want to come over. And my sister's like, that sounds like a nightmare. The 3 of you reciting lines a half second before they're said. And so I called her after I got off the phone with Joe, and I said, hey, just so you don't hear it secondhand and feel left out, Joe's coming over and we're going to watch Animal House. And my sister, to my surprise, said, oh, if you were going to watch like Arthur or something, I would come over. I'm like, we are going to watch Arthur. So I did. I said, I called Joe. I'm like, is watching Arthur a deal breaker? And he just started quoting lines from Arthur. It's like, you must have really hated this movie. So I'm like, I take that as a yes. So he came over, my sister came over, we watched it. And then, because Joe and I have that kind of time, we end up watching a 40-minute documentary on the, no, I'm sorry, I'm lying. So my sister left, had a great time.
Right.
And then I'm like to Joe, I'm like, you want to hang out and watch Animal House? So we watched a double feature. And then after Animal House, we watched a 40-minute Spike TV documentary on Animal House that was on YouTube. So that's the kind of time and life that we have. We watched Animal House. And look, Arthur, of all the movies that have just dated and just, dude, it's still such a great movie. I mean, I cried at all the places I cry at. My 14-year-old, 2 or 3 times I had to hush him up because he has this laugh that is so loud. And I'm like, and it's not that I mind him laughing. It's like, dude, you're gonna miss. You're laughing at the setup. Wait till you hear the punchline. No, he just can't believe how funny Dudley Moore is. And I looked to Joe while he's laughing, and I said, Joe, am I exaggerating, or was that living with Dan for 10 years? And he's like, oh no. Dudley Moore and Arthur is not a far cry, minus the $750 million bank account. But the funny drunk that
and
Arthur
the butler,
was,
and the butler.
No, he had me picking up after him. He had a butler.
Whatever.
Trust me. But that's my life. And now I will get to see Mike, my buddy Mike. Oh, so I told Mike, it's like, hey, by the way, Joe's never seen Convoy, Smokey and the Bandit, or my friend Mike calls it the whole
Convoy is.
Oh, dude. Convoy, Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, Cannonball Run. So we're going to do a triple feature of those coming up.
Is it one of those?
Convoy is another movie about. Yeah.
Oh, it's the one. It's like Cannonball Run.
They
came out at the same time.
Yep.
It's one of those deals. Yeah.
Country.
Just like whatever, like Armageddon and the asteroid or whatever the fuck.
Right. So that's my life. I will say I am though going to see Doctor Strange opening night. Of course you are. And I've worked management, and I feign sensitivity. I feign sympathy. But when she calls me all pissed, like, I just saw a spoiler on Facebook, I'm like, why are you online? Like it's like I've muted so much stuff so I don't see. I might hear something here and there, but I really work hard not to know things, Biff. And I'm pretty much going in.
I'm so bad at actually seeing the stuff. I just say, let it happen, because it's gonna be like months before I actually see anything, because I'm so bad at about it. Did I mention that I watched another episode of Squid Games 2 nights ago? Thank you very much.
What episode are you up to?
It's I just finished episode 6.
Is that the one that did you cry?
Gambu. It's a brutal one. Gambu. It's the one with the marbles.
Okay, I jumped off the ship. I only watched the first 2 episodes, and then I watched the last one. And it became this thing with, our little guy in management, and they watched it together. And so I went to bed that night that they watched that episode, and she just carried a puddle of water up to the bed. He was wrecked. That episode. Oh
my God.
That episode ruined him. Like, and even now,
well, it's actually one of those things that are like, I mean, there's just so much that went on in terms of, there was, like human kindness, and then there was human ruthlessness, like just the best and the worst of people all in one episode. It was an amazing episode.
Let's get to the worst of people. What's happening with the purchase of Twitter? Are you following that?
I saw something about withdrawal and then agreement and whatever. So I don't know what's going on. And the thing about it is that I don't know what I think that people are expecting this to be turned into something, whatever the heck you want it to be. But like just reading some of the just things here and there, it's like there's still one of the things that's really, really difficult about managing companies like Twitter is that the European Union has a really, like a controlling in these internet laws that essentially govern things like, just basically all social media. And so there's maybe within the US, the regulation is a little bit different, but in order for Twitter to be anything, it has to be this international platform. And if it's going to be this international platform, they have to basically, comply with the EU, regulations, it sounds like, which is apparently, kind of a I think I'm kind of starting to understand why, like a lot of the stuff that Twitter and Facebook do, it's because, they kind of have to do it because they have to appease these things. So yeah, we'll see.
That's so. I'm looking down, like when I went to put some stuff on the rundown, I saw get out some popcorn. What am I making popcorn for, Biff?
Let's see. Where are we? Oh my God, that one. Oh my God, the little.
Right.
There's a little spat between our two favorite members of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene and what's her name, Boebert. And yeah, I guess this is, and I don't know what to make of it, but I allegedly, and if you read the article, there's an article in Raw Story. Basically, Lauren Boebert doesn't like being kind of lumped together with MTG from the standpoint of, according to the article anyway, and it's hard for me to really tell what how they are, different as she alleges, I guess. I guess she's really in line with that kind of most of the so-called the new conservatives in terms of, a lot of the, she's, even though she's outspoken, she's really in line with a lot of other people, whereas MTG is like kind of a free-for-all. I don't think they like her being so supportive of the insurrection, stuff like that. So apparently it got to a point where, like, in one of these events, there had to be an intervention to basically separate those two. So yeah,
just delicious. Just the worst people going at each other. It couldn't make me happier. And Putin's war still going on. It's, what's crazy is, like, every day something comes out like, oh, well, now they're threatening a nuclear war because they're getting more aid. Essentially comes down to, if we can't have Ukraine, we're going to level it. And if anybody tries to keep us from leveling it, we're going to go nuclear. That's basically what it is. And when I hear it's like, oh, they're going to have more sanctions. How are there any sanctions left? Like what is this half measures, but finally, countries like Germany are like, okay, we're like, at one point, Germany was like, well, we'll give them ammunition for the guns they have, but we're not giving them anti-tank stuff. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. But like literally when you say they are rape and pillaging, they're usually using rape as a weapon. They're mass graves with civilians that have been executed. They're stealing like everything. They're plundering farm equipment, from the country, like bringing in military flatbed trucks and stealing people's tractors. So even when it's time to rebuild, they're going to make sure that, honestly, that the Ukraine, and they even shelled Kyiv while the Secretary General of the UN was visiting Zelensky.
Yeah, they don't care.
And so I guess Putin said he's going to go to the G20 summit in a couple months. It's like, how can he do that? How can he show up at the G? He would have to be arrested for war crimes, right?
I don't know how that works, right? I mean, I don't know how it works in terms of, have they actually charged him with anything, right? Has the International Tribunal charged him with anything? And I'm not so sure that they have. There's a lot of opinions, right? But I think that's where, you talk about sanctions and whatever. I mean, if they put in formal charges against him, does that change things? I don't know. I mean, right?
But that's the whole thing. It's like, I hope the world has a spine. Doesn't first of all, how is invading and leveling a sovereign nation not a war crime in of itself? Like war should just, anybody who starts a war should be a crime. I mean, unprovoked, absolutely unprovoked.
Yep.
But the Ukraine isn't the only place where things are just going sideways into shit.
This is true.
I did watch, and crime just isn't in your neck of the woods in Los Angeles there. I saw the clip.
Back in my homeland.
Back in your homeland. Now I know why you left. Now I can see why you had to get out.
Well, with this kind of crime occurring, in neighborhoods, I mean, there's just so much fear that these kinds of crimes evoke, and when it happens in your neighborhood. So obviously, this is something that I think we've talked about before happening on another incident where this man, and it's really shocking because it was the crime was committed by like a 70-year-old or 80-year-old or some old dude. And this guy walks into a convenience store and pays for a small coffee, but puts in a medium coffee worth of coffee. And so now I know that this sounds confusing because you're thinking, wait, if he bought a small coffee, then he bought a small coffee. How does a medium fit into a small coffee? So that was my question also. It turns out in Japan, they have this stupid system where if you buy a small coffee, like there is this button that tells you how many, whatever, it's Japan. So it's how many milliliters you get in a small coffee. And then I guess it gives you enough room to add cream and anything else. But apparently you can put in a medium's worth of coffee into a small coffee cup and maybe forgo the cream or bring your own cream or whatever the heck the case may be. So that's number one. I mean, what a crazy system where they actually make you buy an exact, I mean, who in this country have ever bought Slurpees, not just overflow that Slurpees at the top so you could suck that, that little top, nub to overfill that thing, right? I mean, come on. So, but that's the first part. So that's part one. Part two, they actually had the guy on monitor. Like they suspected that he had done this in the past. So they were watching this guy. And number three, they called the cops. And number four, he was arrested.
Great use of resources. I mean, no,
to be fair, it's not like the police is busy over there.
Well, that's true. And what is the difference in the price? Are we talking 20 cents?
Probably. I think it's like it's 100 yen versus 130 yens or something like that. So less than 30 cents.
Yeah, completely. Like a quarter.
A quarter. Yeah.
Well, but again, the length that the news station went to create those. So I'll break it down.
We cannot have these kinds of lawlessness in Japan.
They have the what is it? The graphic.
The reenactment graphics.
The reenactment graphics. There's a word for it that I'm blanking on. But then they also had a guy, with measuring cups showing like the difference. It's like, dude, it was a huge story. It was delicious.
Despite the fact that there is a freaking full-on war that might be the start of World War III going on in Europe, Japan considers this newsworthy on national news.
So that was
what a peaceful country.
So I have no self-indulgent theater, no game review. This was originally going to be just a sideshow, and then I wanted to talk about Dave and talk about your morning and all that stuff. So we're getting right to sport. We're forego what we're watching streaming. We're forego everything else. We're going to go right to sport. Then we'll go to a parenting tip. But this is all you, Biff. Biff, tonight as we're recording.
Yep.
The NHL.
Well, your game has already started.
Oh, okay. Yep. The NHL playoffs have already started.
Yep.
So I want you to break it down. I want you to tell me who you think is going to win the cup and how do the Bruins do it.
So this is the thing that's really so I will say that I think the Bruins have a great chance of getting deep in the playoffs. They're an experienced team. They have all the parts. But it's one of those things where I did not pick them. In fact, I did not pick them to win the first round.
I'm not going to bring you a box of Marsh Munch unless you change your prediction now.
Yeah, I don't need the pasta either, by the way, just so you know. By the way, if you'd like a 15-year-old Kraft macaroni and dinner from Canada with Ryan Smith, Captain Canada on the box, I'll be happy to send that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway,
so break it down.
I actually picked Carolina over Boston in that series, and I actually picked Carolina to win it all. I have Carolina
really?
Stanley Cup champion this year.
Who are they beating?
Oh, this is the other one. So on the west side, the Colorado Avalanche is the favorite, but I have picked the Daryl Sutter-led Calgary Flames to make it to the finals. So I am picking a Canadian team to be in the finals. And notice the Canadian team to make it to the finals does not include Toronto Maple Leafs because, so in my bracket, wishful thinking as it was, I actually picked the Leafs to beat Tampa. It goes everything against what I believe in. I think Tampa is the best team out there. They have everything. They're the 2-time defending champs. But I figured, you know what? If I'm going to pick a bracket to actually do something, I'm going to go all in and pick that upset. So I actually picked the Leafs to win not only round 1, but also round 2.
Wow.
But I just couldn't go as far as to say, I can't pick them to go to the finals. That's just madness. So I had them losing to Carolina in the finals.
Finals. Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you have out west?
So in the West, I mean, I'm not going to go through every single one of the of my bracket stuff, but I will say that I did pick my Los Angeles Kings to beat the Edmonton Oilers in 7 games. So, that's of note. I don't expect them to go beyond that, but that's one. And then, so that's one of the upsets, that I picked. Other than that, the other upset that I picked is essentially earlier on. Essentially, I have, Florida getting knocked out, not by the Capitals, but I do get them knocked out by the aforementioned Leafs in the second round.
Wow. So you got the Capitals.
Stuff like, yeah.
Did you say how many games is it going to take the Kings to beat Edmonton?
I picked them to win in 7.
Is that a hope, or do you see? And who has home on that one?
Edmonton does. It's one of those deals where, so it's an interesting series because you're dealing with Edmonton team that clearly is a lot more talented, right? I mean, they have, the names. The people know the names on the Oilers, right? The McDavids and the Dreisaitl's and whatnots. But I think the reason I picked the Kings is twofold. Number one, the Kings are in with house money. Like nobody, including Kings Nation, expected them to be in the playoffs this year, right? And part of it had to do with Las Vegas's absolute meltdown, which of course I want to spend 2 minutes on because it is hilarious. And then the second part of it is that, God, there is so much pressure on the Oilers to succeed because, hey, guess what? You had the best player in the world for like 7 years now, and you've won one playoff round. And it's like, and they're at that point.
And he is so good, dude. Yeah. He is so good.
But but he doesn't play defense. I mean, that's part of that it's like after all these years, it's like you'd think that somebody would tell them, do the Barry Trotz thing. I mean, you look at the success that the Capitals had, and it really has to do with a buy-in that he got to tell Alex that, he told Ovechkin, listen, whatever you do on the offensive end, do whatever you're going to do. But I want you to do what I want you to do on the defensive end. They freaking bought in and freaking won the cup. And
funny how that works out, you know?
But, bottom line is that they know it's like, their goaltending has been garbage for them, but it's not like they play defense. So yeah, maybe consider playing, defense, so that's one of the things. And so I think just the combined pressure, the fact that they don't really have the core 4, as they say, in, even though they only have 3 of the 4, the core guys in LA know how to win. They have guys who have, won or have gotten deep, guys like, let's say, I think Edler's been to the finals. Danault just went to the finals last year. Such as it was with the Canadiens. But so they have players that that know what to do to go deep. And I think that's and obviously you could say the Oilers have Duncan Keith. It's whatever, Duncan Keith. So
yeah. I by the way, I don't follow the Kings anywhere like I used to, but Dustin Brown is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Just And I'm trying to think. I know he's had so many big hits, but he had one quintessential hit that just turned around. I forget what series it was.
Well,
that
there
I'm
was
like,
one. If you want to talk about a hit that turned around the series, there was a monster hit that he did on one of the Sedin brothers
right.
in the first round of that 2012, and that was like that was one of those whoa hits. So yeah,
Right. I think that's what I'm thinking about. I think
Yeah.
that was at Staple. I think we were at that game,
Yeah, so
and
yeah, I mean, yeah,
yes.
yeah, so absolutely. But obviously a great career, kind of poorly treated. I think he was stripped of his captaincy in what 2016 or so. And I think basically because of his fallout with Sutter or whatever the case may be. But it was just so poorly handled. But give the guy credit. That dude freaking, I mean, he stayed a pro. That it didn't change his relationship with Kopitar, who got the captaincy.
Right.
He stayed a great teammate. And now the Kings are reaping the benefits of it. I mean, he's not the player he used to be, but having that guy in the locker room, I think, once again, huge difference to have a guy like that in the locker room, along with a guy like Kopitar and now Quick, right? So unfortunately, Doughty's out with an injury. He's not going to be coming back in the playoffs, but
which is such a, I mean,
yeah,
that could really make a difference. So that's and who did you have in the conference final out west now again?
So I had Calgary Flames
beating who? Calgary beating who?
In the finals, I had Calgary beating Minnesota in the finals.
Minnesota. Okay. Okay. Flames first. So I will post that. Minnesota.
Yeah.
Dude, that's is this your favorite time of year? Is this Christmas for you?
It is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's like, and especially early, it hasn't, I think last year's football season was an exception, but like early round playoffs is where it's at in the NHL. Like it's because the players are fresher, and that's when you have the most crazy outcomes. It's always the first round that has like all the wackiness. The later rounds are kind of more settled, right? But every year there's just a couple of wacky storylines in the early rounds. Like last year, I mean, as sad as it was for me, Montreal getting past the first round, freaking that is the chaos that is the NHL round one. So
right. That's
and then I just want to briefly talk about the Vegas collapse, which
right.
Which, oh my god! So just a quick synopsis. Vegas goes all in this year with with a lot of negative criticism towards the fact that they acquired Jack Eichel right when they had no cap room. They just happened to have cap room on that day when they acquired him because they had like guys like Stone and Riley Smith and a few others on long-term injury reserve. So as our friend Ruger would say, cap shenanigans, right?
Oh, he was not happy. He was not happy.
And I completely get it. I mean, I'm at a point where do whatever the hell, I mean, you're gonna have to deal with it eventually. And so, but then for whatever reason, just a combination of a lot of injuries and a combination of, hey, wow, the LA Kings are actually kind of good. And so in the last 2 weeks of the season, the Vegas was outside looking in for a playoff spot. And then as the season end approached, they got their starting goalie, Robin Leonard, back from an injury. And they think, okay, they got him back. He wasn't playing great. And then towards the end of the season, there was one point where he plays one period, lets in one goal, not a great goal, but it's one goal. And then the coach pulls him from the game and then throws him under the bus.
Oh.
And then the next day they ask about his injuries. He says, oh no, he's healthy. He's got a lot of energy. He's ready to play. So making it sound like, so you first throw him under the bus and tell him how he's got all kinds of energy. Like, what? Because he only played one period the last game? I mean, what are you saying? And then on the same day, two reporters announced that Leonard's told the team that he's going to have season-ending surgery, which DeBoer, the coach, didn't. Oh, I haven't heard anything about it. And of course, so he's backing up today. So he's basically backing up for that next game. And then the next day, it's announced that he's having season-ending injury. Right? A lot of this coaching BS going on, and to make it as sweet as it possibly can, when they needed the points the most, they lost 3 consecutive overtime games
Right.
in shootouts where they went 0 for 17 in the 3 shootouts. If that's not freaking like sweet, it's like, yeah, sweet out is such garbage, except when it hurts.
Dude, I'm not being a smart ass, and I'm not kidding. I think I would score at least 1 out of 17 attempts on any NHL goalie. I think all-star.
There are 3 different goalies, but if you think
about
it,
I'm just saying statistically, I think all-star Berries 2 or 3. I think Scotty Blackberries 2 or 3.
All I'm saying is that in one of the games they went 7 rounds and they did not score. 7 rounds. Dude. They don't score.
Delicious. So, yeah. No, yeah.
So good for and to be fair, I do feel bad for the players, like many of the players, right? I mean, they're the players go where they go, right? It's not like they chose to go to the Vegas, and many of them didn't. Many of them essentially ended up there because they were cast off. Fine, but the franchise definitely deserves this. This karma. So.
Dude, no, it was great. It was great. So, yeah, the next couple of weeks, there's at least 3 games on a night. I'm guessing you got picture in picture, or you got at least
I actually have a setup so that what I do is I watch on the computer and the TV kind of a thing.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. I literally am happy for you. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but I roll into town like on the 22nd, a few days early before we go to Phoenix, and I'm unlikely, but it'd be great to catch a King game. It'd be great if they're still, if they're kicking around, but if it goes 7 and it goes deep in the second round, then maybe we catch a game before I go. No, that is great. Do you got a parenting tip?
No new ones. How about you?
You know what? It was my little guy's birthday. We went out a tad bit overboard with some Lego stuff for him. I'm gonna
once again, I said it before. Freaking the last 2 years have been garbage.
Right, exactly.
Let him have a great time.
A little of it was guilt because Mom was actually on the other side of the world on his actual birthday. So we had a little party for him before the Saturday before she left, and he got a bunch of stuff. That's when he got his big, that I'll post his really big Daily Bugle. Like I said, 3,800 and it says on the box 18 plus, but he's been putting those together for he's been putting together the 18 plus Lego sets since he was like 5. And then so this week while Mom's out of town, we went back to Target. And I got up and the poor kid is like, he wanted this X-Wing thing, and he also wanted the Sonic, Lego sets, and he was having a real Sophie's choice. Grandma gave him he had some money from his birthday. Grandma gave him, and he couldn't afford both. And I'm like, just put him in the cart, buddy. Just put him in the cart. And next week, because Mom will be back next weekend, and we're going to do something for his birthday again. He's only turning 12 once. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? Listen, I mean, freaking. Management is having the time of her life, or she's coming back from the time of her life, right? He's not, your boy's gonna just remember, oh my God, and I got that, that freaking, mega Lego set for my 12th birthday. That's what he's gonna remember. I mean, he's not gonna remember, oh, my mom was, no, he's gonna remember the stuff that he got and the fact that you just let him throw everything into the cart. So he's gonna remember that.
Sometimes that. My parenting tip is sometimes it's okay to buy the love. It's okay to buy the love. Again, it was great.
Good on you.
Thank you. It was great. He had a great time. It was great to see Gene at the show. It was great. The song we're going out on is from Dave from the Rationales. Thank you for letting me go off on that. Dave, you will be missed. And the rest of the show is up to you, my friend.
Well, when this time of the year, as Jacques said, my God, Stanley Cup playoffs, there and so many storylines, so many, hopes and dreams, and that then 10 days later leads to broken hearts. But this happens every year, and next year it's going to repeat itself. So with that in mind, don't forget.
A ruby-colored halo fills my eyes. Fills my vision, almost leaves me blind. Every time I see you look my way, feels like Judgment Day. My friends all say that you're avoiding me, but your little sister will not let me be. And I find you are both the same. You're built on pain. And everything I try to say tonight is just mundane, all blurs between our hearts. It's all clear at the start. A ruby-colored halo fills my eyes, blinds my vision just like winter time. Like everything I've always pushed away, you came back today. And everything I try to say tonight is just mundane, all blurs between our hearts. It's all clear at the start. Everything is all what we make it. Everything